Welcome to the Business Acumen Toolkit series. This series was inspired by the HCBS Business Acumen Center, a project developed and managed by NASWD, National Association of States United for Aging and Disabilities. The Developmental Disability Service System is in the midst of the most significant change since the deinstitutionalization movement of the 1970s and 80s. Organizations in the business of providing services must respond to external changes so they can survive to continue their mission. The intent of this toolkit is to provide a simple outline of complex nonprofit management concepts with the goal of increasing the capacity of Alaska DD service providers. These videos are not intended to be watched passively, but rather to be viewed by teams and stopped periodically so teams can discuss how a particular component works within their organization. Your presenters are myself, Kim Champney.
And me, Brandon Cullum.
I worked in multiple positions for a DD service provider in Alaska for 18 years, as well as serving on several statewide boards and participating in systems change efforts before becoming a consultant 2 years ago. I have a master's in social work from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and a certificate in nonprofit management from 4Acre.
I have a master's in business administration and have worked as a finance officer and operations director in state government, a nonprofit disability services provider, and the private sector. Together, our experience covers the broad spectrum of operational challenges many organizations face.
You'll hear our different perspectives throughout the toolkit.
What exactly is business acumen? If you have business acumen, you understand how a business works. You know its mission, how it generates revenue, how it uses its resources, and how to gather and interpret information to make informed and effective leadership decisions.
In DD service provider organizations, like many service-oriented fields, employees are drawn in by the mission. Compassion for others and passion for the mission runs deep. Unlike for-profit businesses where sales and profit are in the forefront, the economic engine of DD services can feel like an invisible thread in the fabric of service delivery. While there may be clear expectations and pressure around documentation and billing for services, the inner workings of the engine are a mystery to many. Even experienced finance professionals or leaders from other fields face a steep learning curve when stepping into a fee-for-service Medicaid environment. Developing solid business acumen specific to DD services takes time and often several budget cycles. Yet many organizations face tight margins and there's not room for learning curves. This toolkit attempts to demystify some of the core aspects of the economic engine so leaders and teams are better prepared to make strategic decisions during these times.
This toolkit is composed of 5 modules. The first module introduces the concept of business acumen and how the components of the toolkit fit together. The second module, resource planning, outlines the major steps in developing a resource plan, or budget. In particular, we discussed the complexity of revenue and expense projections within the context of a person-directed service model. The third module, business intelligence, reviews essential tools for collecting information on financial performance. The fourth module, gap analysis, explains how to use financial performance data to identify deviation from organizational goals. And the last module, leadership and organizational change, recommends steps you can take to effect significant change to realign organizational performance with organizational goals.
A critical piece of good business acumen is having a strategic plan driving the work of the organization. In human services, finances are not an end to themselves, but rather a means to an end. An organization must be aligned with its mission, vision, and clearly defined priorities. The modules in this toolkit all assume some level of strategic planning and vision. A good resource for strategic planning can be found by visiting the HCBS Business Acumen Center at hcbsbusinessacumen.org and looking under the Resources tab for tools.
As Jim Collins states in Good to Great in the Social Sectors, the critical question that businesses in the social sector must ask themselves is, how effectively do we deliver on our mission and make a distinctive impact relative to our resources? Engaging all levels of the organization in resource planning and management results in a workplace culture that looks for inefficiencies and understands the value of effective use of resources, money, time, and people.
The primary goal of these videos is to guide planning and strategic thinking by introducing basic components of business acumen. But developing business acumen is only the first step on the long road to sustainability. There are no magical fixes to any organization's problems. Change is hard, and sustainability takes discipline and long-term planning, fueled by a compelling vision that inspires and unifies your team. The following modules provide a path forward, starting with resource planning.